The crypto market is unique as in skill becomes a real unfair advantage. We can pull data from the blockchain, look at what are individual wallets doing, what are people doing that tend to hold longer, what are people doing that tend to trade more actively. We can look at these minute details and thus figure out what's really currently driving the prices, where is really the current momentum headed. When looking at traditional finance, we don't have that data. We just have the last price. We just know how much had been changing hands. But we don't really know what kind of people bought and sold. And this is a very valuable information that gets published every week on the Glassnode's Insights newsletter. So that's insights.glassnode.com, and every week we get a bunch of very interesting charts that tell us stories, what's currently going on. And these charts can become complex, and that's why I present them here in this video. I will show what they measure and what they mean. Let's start off with the realized cap. So that's the Bitcoin price here in black. It's a long-term chart starting in 2014. The price scale is here on right. It's a logarithmic scale. And the realized cap, that's on the left, a linear scale. And this shows us on average for what realized price or realized cap has Bitcoin moved recently. Now, when you look at the current price, it simply just looks at the last transaction, right? For what price did this happen? Where did supply and demand cross just recently? When we look at the realized price, we look at all the transactions that happened in the past. So when the price tends to rise, then in aggregate, the realized price tends to be below the current price, because the people that bought and sold before did this for a lower price. When the momentum is currently negative, the exact opposite is the case. So in a sense, that orange line is a kind of moving average. And whenever this tends to go up, this means that the long-term holders tend to be selling because they are moving from the lower prices in the past to the higher prices at that point in time. When this tends to go down, this is when the short-term holders are rather taking over. They might have bought for a higher price before, and then just a few weeks afterwards they are selling, making this aggregate realized cap curve to go down. Now, what's interesting around this is that this realized cap is sometimes dropping, and the drop tends to be at very similar magnitudes. Here, look at this, realized cap drawdown. It was 23% here in 2012, 14% in 2015, 16% in maximum after the 2018 crash, and now with the Terra Luna and FTX collapse, again we had minus 19. So very similar drop downs, not in terms of the price, but in terms of the realized cap, which would indicate that we are likely going to see recovering prices again and a recovering realized cap as well. We might be, according to that metric, out of the woods. You might have seen maximum pain. 16K might have been the bottom in Bitcoin. And we still haven't yet recovered to new all-time highs in the realized cap. And that's some kind of metrics we don't see in traditional finance, right? We can't see in aggregate what did the price move in the past, because we don't know what kind of wallets are buying and what kind of wallets are selling. So let's look at this realized cap. Let's also adjust this for entities. So Glassnode made some algorithm to figure out what kind of wallets tend to belong together. And let's look at that realized cap relative to the current cap. Whenever the current market cap tends to be below the realized cap, that's when the market in aggregate is in losses, and it tends to simply just wait out those losses. That's the times when it really makes sense to buy. So this over here is the Corona crash, was a very nice buying opportunity. Then again, we fell below the realized cap here during the FTX and Luna collapse, and now we tend to be above it again, meaning the market in aggregate is in profit, but also meaning that we could be potentially starting a new bull run again. Now, I'm not going to go through every chart over here, right? Feel free to simply just check out the link, right? That's the 29th newsletter in this year. But I do want to share the short to long-term total realized value, because realizing the value is a very nice measure to find out when are there potential peaks. When a lot of people that haven't moved their Bitcoin suddenly start moving their Bitcoin. when the long-term holders are selling, when the activity is very high, when a lot of people are realizing their profits. That's the time where you want to be cautious with buying in. That's the time when you also want to be selling. The trend in the end is your friend. When the smart money is selling, you want to sell as well. That's at least how I personally approach this. And that's shown in this chart. We see here the realized value both of the short-term holders and the long-term holders, and it peaks out when the price momentum for Bitcoin also stopped to a degree. Right? We went from 3.5K in the Bitcoin price all the way to 40K. Then a lot of people took profit. And of course, we did see another peak at 69K, but the rally that happened afterwards was way less pronounced than the gains we have seen in the past. So what you want to do is you want to be buying when there is very little attention, and you want to be selling when there's a lot of attention, when a lot of people realize their value. And currently, in the grand scheme of things, we are again comparatively low. So this should be rather a time to buy in and to, of course, sometimes be okay with some temporary volatility, but to rather be buying now and to wait until we see new all-time highs and to watch that activity, see if the long-term holders start to realize their value. And so that's one of many metrics. The main point is we do want to make data-based decisions. And there's way more data available with the open blockchain than there is in traditional finance. And so if you're looking for a community that's data-driven, that's not just looking at the recent hype, then feel free to join us at Bitcoin Strategy Channel. Simply search for this term within the Telegram app or click the link down below. I hang around there regularly, looking forward to chatting with you. Bye-bye.